Imagine this. You're standing outside the church on the rainiest day of your life, black suit soaked through, clutching flowers that are already wilting, and your own brother plants himself in the doorway like a bouncer at a club you were never invited to. He looks you dead in the eye and says, "You lost the right to be here." Those words hit harder than any punch. That was me, Alex. My dad, Robert, was inside that church in a closed casket, and Marcus, my older brother, was making sure I didn't get to say goodbye. The stares from aunts, uncles, cousins. They burned. Whispers floated out like smoke. What's he doing here? He walked away, didn't he? No one knew the truth. No one cared to ask. I felt smaller than I'd ever felt, like the family had already buried me alongside Dad. I turned to leave, rain mixing with the tears I swore I wouldn't let fall. Before we continue with this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Then a hand tapped my shoulder. Firm. Calm. I spun around, and there he was, a stranger in a sharp gray suit, umbrella in one hand, briefcase in the other. He leaned in close and whispered, "I'm Mr. Harlan, your father's lawyer." He left strict instructions. You must be in a room when I read this. My stomach dropped. Read what? And why me after everything? But what came next would make the entire room go silent and turn my brother's victory into ashes right in front of everyone. Have you ever been the invisible sibling? The one who shows up, does the work, keeps the lights on, but never gets applause? That was my entire childhood. Marcus was a golden boy. Football captain, debate team star, the one Dad bragged about at every barbecue. Me? I was a quiet fixer. When Mom got sick, I was the one driving her to chemo at 6 a.m. while Marcus was off at college parties. When the family business needed late-night inventory, guess who stayed until 2 a.m.? Not the heir apparent. Dad would pat Marcus on the back for closing one deal. Me? I'd get a quiet nod if the books balanced perfectly. It stung, but I told myself it was fine. Loyalty isn't loud. I believed that until the hospital, 3 weeks before Dad passed. He was weak, tubes everywhere, but he grabbed my hand when no one else was in the room. His voice was barely a whisper. "You were always a strong one, Alex. The one who never asked for credit." I froze. First time he'd ever said it out loud. I thought maybe, just maybe, he saw me, really saw me. Then he was gone. And at the funeral, Marcus made it crystal clear. I didn't belong. I stood there in the rain, shut out, thinking that was the end of it, until the lawyer's words hit me like a slap. You must be in a room when I read this. What the hell was on that page Dad hid from everyone? Picture the scene. Rain hammering the church steps like it's trying to wash away the whole day. I'm drenched. Flowers drooping in my fist. Heart already cracked open from losing Dad. And Marcus steps forward, broad shoulders filling the doorway like he owns the place. He doesn't even blink. "You lost the right to be here," he says, voice low enough that only the front row of mourners hears, but loud enough to make my stomach twist. I open my mouth. Nothing came out at first. Then, "Marcus, it's Dad's funeral. Let me in." He crossed his arms. "You walked away from the business, from the family. You don't get to play the grieving son now." Walked away? The contradiction burned. He was the one who pushed me out. Told Dad I wasn't cut out for leadership, convinced the old man I'd fail. I stayed anyway, handling the books, the vendors, the crises Marcus ignored while he chased bigger deals and bigger egos. But facts didn't matter. Not to him. Not today. Aunt Lydia stood behind him, eyes wide, lips parted like she wanted to speak, but couldn't find the words. The rest of the family just watched. Silent. Complicit. Had you ever felt the weight of 100 eyes judging you for something you didn't do? It crushes you faster than any shout. I turned to walk away, defeated, humiliated, ready to grieve alone in the parking lot. That's when the tap came. Firm. Steady. Mr. Harlan leaned close, rain dripping off his umbrella. "Your father was very clear. You have to be inside for the reading of the will. He made me promise." My pulse hammered in my ears. Why me? What was Dad hiding that Marcus couldn't know about yet? So I followed Mr. Harlan into that stuffy church hall, dripping wet, shoes squeaking on the tile like some unwanted ghost. The room went quiet the second I stepped in. Marcus shot me a glare that could cut glass, but he didn't dare say a word in front of everyone. Aunt Lydia gave me a tiny nod, like she was sorry she hadn't spoken up earlier. The rest of the family? They just stared, waiting for the show to start. Mr. Harlan opened his briefcase, calm as ever, and began reading. Standard stuff at first. The house goes to Marcus. The cars. Some cash split evenly. Marcus leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, smirking like he'd already won the lottery. See, his face screamed. Dad always knew the real son was. Every line made my chest tighter. Have you ever listened to someone divide up your childhood home like it's just another asset on a spreadsheet? It feels like your whole life is being auctioned off while you sit there invisible again. I almost stood up and left right then, but Mr. Harlan paused, adjusted his glasses, and pulled out one last sealed envelope. Robert left specific instructions, he said, voice dropping. This final section is to be read only with everyone present, including Alex. No exceptions. The air got thick. Marcus's smirk faltered for half a second. The room leaned forward. Mr. Harlan cleared his throat. And now, the last line your father insisted be read verbatim. What he said next made Marcus's face drain a color, and changed every single thing I thought I knew about my dad. Ever wonder what happens when the person you thought hated you actually loved you the most? Mr. Harlan's voice stayed steady, but the words landed like grenades. To my son Alex, he read, who never asked for anything but gave everything. I leave the true heart of this family. Marcus snorted, thought it was sentimental fluff. Then the lawyer kept going. Years ago, I transferred controlling interest in the company, the real value, the shares that actually matter, into a trust for Alex. Irrevocable, undisclosed. The business holdings read aloud earlier, those were minority stakes. Shell paper. Marcus received title, but no power, no control. Alex held the keys. The room froze. You could hear breathing stop. Marcus's face went from smug red to ghost white in seconds. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound. Dad's final line, verbatim, just like he demanded. Marcus was never the heir. He was a test. I watched him take. Alex stayed, cared, sacrificed, without fanfare, without demand. That's the son I trust to carry our name forward with kindness, not greed. Alex, forgive me for silence. I needed you to prove it, without knowing the reward waited. Tears hit my cheeks before I could stop them. Vindication, grief, relief, all crashing at once. Aunt Lydia reached over, squeezed my hand so hard it hurt, in the best way. Marcus shoved his chair back. It scraped loud against the floor. He stormed toward the door, without a word. The entire room stayed silent, dead silent. And in that silence, I finally felt seen by the one person who mattered most. So there it was. The silence stretched so long it felt like the room forgot how to breathe. Marcus stood frozen by the door, hand on the knob, back turned like he couldn't face what just happened. I sat there, tears streaming, but for the first time they weren't from pain. They were from finally being seen. Dad hadn't overlooked me. He'd been watching closer than anyone. He tested Marcus's greed against my quiet loyalty, and Dad chose the one who stayed. Aunt Lydia broke the quiet first. She stood, walked over, and wrapped me in the tightest hug I'd felt since Mom died. He always said you were the heart of this family, she whispered. Now everyone knows. A few cousins nodded. Others looked away, ashamed they'd sided with the loud one. Marcus didn't say goodbye. He just left. The door clicked shut behind him like the end of an era. That day I walked out of church not as the outcast, but as the one Dad trusted most. Blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. And sometimes the quiet ones carry the loudest truths. If you've ever been betrayed by the people closest to you, drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. Smash that like if justice finally felt right today. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next twist that proves karma never forgets an address. What would you do if it will flip your whole world upside down? Tell me below. I'll see you in the next one.